So, of course, speaking English, as said before, we'll do an interview with Skyll. And with me there is again Armix, my dear friend.
Hello.
Hope you won't mind if I'm speaking English. I hope I'll be up to the task. I practice it, but we never know.
I need to step up my Italian.
So why did I ask Skyll to join in this evening? This was one of my favorite players since fighters actually, and also we'll talk about it later. But I knew it from Soulcalibur 6. I, of course, not a great player on that game, but I was when I was seeing tournaments, I saw his name come up a few times.
You would be cooking. Just play the only zoners in the game.
He's a Geralt fan. He would be the best Geralt in northern Italy.
Yeah, actually doing a segment on Soulcalibur 6 right after this interview with my friend Drugo, who was a part of the Soulcalibur 6 Italian community. Because I have like a regret, because I really like The Witcher and the franchise, and we always joke about that we'll never have Geralt in another fighting game ever again, and we wasted it on Soulcalibur 6, which had a bad netcode, and
we will have his daughter in the next one. Don't worry.
I think the game deserves more.
Soulcalibur 7 Siri guest? Pog? Insane, actually.
It will be really good, but let's first talk about when we'll see Soulcalibur 7. If we will see it, then we'll talk about the guest characters. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong question. So let's start. I think we'll eventually talk about Soulcalibur 6, but let's start from the beginning. So when and how did you start playing fighting games, and so how do you approach the genre, and why did you decide to go like all in on also in the competitive side?
So I think I played like a bit casually, like in Soulcalibur 3 back in the days. I was playing with my brother and stuff, like and I had like so even Soulcalibur 2, but I was like fully casuals. Like there I was, just like everyone. I think when you grow up, you actually like have some different tastes depending on like the games you're starting on. Like for me it was Calibur. That also I really like the swords and stuff. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna try playing, some Calibur 3 and 4, and that's, I think it was in Soulcalibur 4 that I actually started like playing a bit like competitively in like fighting games, because online was a bit better at that time compared to like what we previously had, and because it's not very comparable to recent era where like everything now is rollback and it's like 10 times better. But like for the time, Soulcalibur 4 was like playable for everyone. So we were like starting to be a bit more competitive between each other, because the games were mattering more, I think. So I started playing, I think it was actually like 14 years ago or 15 years ago, like when I started playing. Let me see, actually Soulcalibur 4 release, let me see, I think it's actually a long time ago now. So yeah, it was
it's a 2008 game.
So yeah, the release was like 16 years ago, but I started playing a bit after the release, so I think it was like maybe 15 years ago even. I thought it was like 14, but like I'm even older than what I thought.
You're a boomer. What's going on? I didn't know. Your reactions are so good.
I mean, he's actually our guest. We are not meant to insult him.
Oh my bad.
Please follow the script.
I didn't mean to.
No, like I'm a dinosaur, so it's fine. But yeah, so I started early, but I like I was like one of those online warriors that you could really only find online. And like I had like quite the the small reputation with like a couple of people that was like talking about that I was like strong at the game and stuff, but only playing online. So it was kind of funny, especially since Calibur was one of these games where like we didn't have like crossplay and stuff like that. So communities were like already split into like different platforms and stuff, like with both PlayStation and Xbox. But yeah. So basically I started there, and like I started doing I think offline events and stuff in Soulcalibur 5, because in 4 I was like too young to actually travel, like really by my own.
Also, isn't the Soulcalibur 4 the game? Maybe I hope I'm right. Isn't that the one where there were guest characters based on the console? Or maybe
yes. Yeah, even like I mean there are a lot of those actually, because all Calibur I think I don't know about one. I don't know about one actually, but like the Soulcalibur 2 was already like one of these, because on GameCube you had like Link.
Oh yeah, right.
And, on Soulcalibur 3. Wait, was it on 3? I don't remember actually. Wait, was it on 3? Maybe it was actually on 3. Wait, was it on 3? Let me see. Soulcalibur 3. The guests. Let's see. Guest characters.
Like the game itself wasn't really promoting a unified community for competitive.
Yeah. Like we had like, as I said, mini communities. Yeah, Soulcalibur 3. What was the guest characters? I can't find them. It's insane. What is? Okay, give me one sec. Blah blah. I actually don't remember all the guest characters of the games, since I never played them.
Because you are so young, you can't remember.
Yeah, it's like, no, it's because I was, mostly playing like these games at an era where like I was really a casual, right? And I don't actually remember all of them because I was also really young, and but. Wait, guest characters. Huh?
I can't find the guest character for Soulcalibur 3 actually. Like there are Soulcalibur 2, then Soulcalibur Legends.
Yeah. I think Soulcalibur 3 they didn't have some. I'm surprised, or maybe it was like kind of like a mimic character or something that they had as a guest. Oh yeah. Wait. Soulcalibur 3. Okay, Soulcalibur 3. I was gonna guess.
It's okay, Skyll. We'll find out later.
Yeah.
You said you started going to actually offline meet.
Yes, in Soulcalibur 5 I started going offline and doing competitions, but I was extremely stressed at the time. Like I couldn't like. Yeah, basically like I was too stressed when playing like offline and stuff. So I had like a lot of trouble of playing like very well. But you have to attend a lot of those events when you are a stressed person, like I was. So you actually like overcome the stress and stuff, so you can progress. So yeah, and at the same time, I think it was like during that Soulcalibur 5 era that like released BlazBlue, that made me want to try 2D fighting.
Okay, so that's your first time going to another fighting games.
Kinda, even though as I said, I did play, I think one 2D fighters, I don't even remember which one was it, like before, but it was fully casual. It was probably a Dragon Ball or some shit. Yeah, like most teenagers.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, like I think
Yeah, because one of the things that surprised me when I look up like your career in fighting games is that you play a lot of different genres, which is kind of rare, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, Armin. But
I mean, for people who've been playing for a while, I think, of course, Skyll is one of the guys who succeeded at them, like at multiple of them. But I think most people have played, like very strong players who played for a long time, they have dabbled in a lot of different games. Even people who now only play one, like Tokyo.
Yeah,
But of course, Skyll knows more than me about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like it's just a matter of if you did enjoy both like styles, like 3D and 2D. It's like a lot of players. I think like Sonic Fox is one of the most famous about that.
yeah.
It's like you have to adjust to a lot of different factors, right? And if you are into the game and if you like it enough, you can spend sometimes like relearning kind of the basics. But it's definitely harder to go from one side to another side because the same rules don't apply really. It's like more movements and stuff for 3D games usually, and like more situation where you have actually like clear RPSs, right, in 2D games. Like the RPSs are more clear. But yeah, it very depends on the.
So it never did it ever happen that when you go to another genre or another game, like you have concept from the game you played before that maybe helped you better understand some aspect of the new game that maybe, like for example, a concept in Soulcalibur that are not present in let's say Granblue. So Granblue players maybe they struggle to understand something, but you coming from Soulcalibur, maybe you have a refresh vision on that. Did it ever happen?
Yes, it did, and it's basically just the risk-reward notion in general. That like the notion of risk-reward of like basically having in mind both the risk and the reward of the decision you are taking. We had that a lot in Caliber, and we did a lot of like research, of the situation itself, right? Where like those situations happen, but like because the games, as I said, was more movement friendly and stuff, those situations were not like super clear because you had like a lot of options, right? You could backdash, you could step, you could GI, you could even when you were minus, right? And these, like the risk-reward situation, in my opinion at least, they apply even more in 2D games. And for some reason, like a lot of people in 2D fighters, they struggle understanding, like even when that decision works, they think like it was a good decision, where like sometimes it was not. The reason was the reward was not worth the risk. And even then, it worked, right? So we could say, okay, it was a good decision. It kinda is, but in a vacuum, if you do take those, risk into consideration, you can, rewatch a set and was like, okay, yeah, why did I try that one DP where like it leads to nothing for me and I die if they block, right? Yeah. And maybe like taking another route, another approach would have led to the same outcome, which is, guessing right that one time with the DP, but without the risk of dying there. So so rewatching it helps, in my opinion, like with the risk-reward stuff in mind.
So the knowledge of knowing when to take a risk, when maybe you can just play passive.
But I do think nowadays, like the players take that way more into consideration. It's just like when I went from like 3D to 2Ds, a lot of people were not, paying attention to this.
Okay.
Gave me, in my opinion at least, a big advantage when I was like trying to optimize how to play, like in certain matchups, for example. I could like eliminate a lot of the risk and stuff.
Was this in BlazBlue? Like the difference from Soulcalibur to BlazBlue?
Yeah.
Or did you find it in... Okay. And would you say it's in general for 3D games? I don't know if I know you played DOA, but I don't know if you played Tekken or something. Do you think it's...
I played Vita. Yeah, I did play very, very short Tekken. I was one of those dirty last main. When it was broken.
Of course.
Yeah. But this I think applies in most fighting games. It's just like again, it just depends on how clear those situations happen and how often they do. And if you have a lot of those situations, you can translate this risk reward more cleanly, I would say. Yeah.
Okay, and what would you say are like to go to another question, are your favorite traits or the ones that you like the least from the various fighting games? Since you played so many, do you have some things that you see this and you're like, oh, I want to play that, and like and the opposite? I mean, I know a few of them, but
I think it's just like when like you know, we just talk about risk reward. I do think that like when the risk and the reward are too exaggerated in fighting games, I think it kind of makes the game more random, and I don't like it. Usually, it's just a bit of like how many decisions you need to make to actually do something, and how impactful is the neutral. Because I do think that like the neutral is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, quality you can have in a fighting game. If you have a good neutral, usually, like not as a player, but like in the fighting games, if you have a good way of playing neutral in a fighting game, you have a good portion of the game that you will enjoy, like most of the time. Where like if I'm kind of thinking about Dragon Ball right now, like fighters, right? If your neutral is too based on something that like skip it, right? It's too easy to avoid it or to avoid interactions. It makes, I think, the game like too boring, because so many games are gonna be like just how are you gonna use your broken way of getting in, and after that, you know, you have that, you know, phases that like they have to block, and you have to do your mix up, and you have to repeat that again and again until you get openings, right?
Yes, I understand, but
it's a bit too boring. Basically, just games where like you have more interactions. That's also why, in my view, Calibur is actually like pretty solid game in terms of like how they handled like a match in a game, like in a fighting game. It's there are a lot of interactions. You don't die in like 3 hits and stuff. So usually games are not decided like by like 2 interaction that leads to an almost unwinnable situation. Which I really don't like. So I really like Calibur. I think it's probably the fighting game I like the most between the games I play.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just about to ask, like, since you visited different fighting game scenes like Fighters, Strive, Soulcalibur, if you have one that you had most dear, but I think you just
it's just Calibur. It has to be. It's also like where I grew up as a fighting game player, kinda, and like also where I, in my opinion, played the best. So yeah, I also traveled a lot during these days of Calibur 6, and it was so much fun. Like the community, the French community is really nice. The US community is also really nice. All the European community is also really cool in the game. Like yeah, like it was a very, very good era at that time. Like yeah, my old bones remember.
Don't say.
Give me Soulcalibur 7.
I
think
I
it's
really
coming,
wanted.
Oh, just 1 sec. I found it. Soulcalibur 3 was only on PlayStation. I'm dumb. I forgot. That's why.
Oh.
Yeah, so Soulcalibur 2 was like Link, Spawn, and Heihachi. Those I remembered, but Soulcalibur 3 I was like, yeah. That. But I think there was actually maybe like some kind of weird, like not guest per se, but like I think there was some styles that were like stuck to characters.
Yeah,
with, like,
I was looking
but I
at
don't
the
remember.
wiki, and I saw some characters that they are not guest characters, but you can reproduce them via the art.
Yeah, they created basically
Because
stuff
avatars
in the game.
are
It's
a
not-
big thing in Soulcalibur games.
Yeah.
I
They did like
remember-
crazy stuff like Yoda, Vader.
Yeah.
In Soulcalibur 4, in 5 there were like Ezio. In 6,
Ezio.
it's 2B obviously, and Geralt. It's like they have crazy stuff.
Like I remember when I saw like Geralt in the because The Witcher 3 like did a huge it became so famous as everyone knows, and when I saw him like in a fighting game cover, I was like, what? Then I played the game. I bought the game. I played it. I actually had quite fun playing it offline because I wasn't really. It was my first 3D game, so I practiced a bit. Then you go online, And I remember my disappointment when I saw lizards everywhere with particular features, if you remember, Skyll. Probably you remember. It took a while, but I had to patch it away in some...
That's the problem of getting free customs sometimes.
I also remember, like, you could put Astaroth's style in a very little model. So some combos didn't came out right, nothing worked.
It was like, really bad. Like the customization, I don't know what they are cooking with. Honestly, they did the same with what Tekken was it? Was it 6 or 7? I think it was like 7. No, like the people had like crazy stuff that was actually banned in tournaments because you couldn't see the moveset of the character.
Yeah,
like big blocks.
Even some presets. Even some presets like some default costume in Tekken 7, they were banned because they were like, we can't see anything.
Yeah,
but with Gigas being a blob like going around.
The thing is, you put like a gameplay of a big character into a little model because your avatar maybe you can choose either size. So, like, part of the kit didn't work because the hitbox wasn't matched properly. It was so, like, I get the appeal of the customization, but, like, let's differentiate the thing, like, keep it as an offline thing or keep it with a separate mode. I don't know. It was so...
They need to stop cooking sometimes. They overcook that.
They overcook that. So, I then wanted to ask, like, as you said, you played Soulcalibur 4 online a lot, and you had a little reputation, and you started going to offlines with Soulcalibur 5, right?
Yes.
I wanted to ask, like, what was the turning point where you decided to become like to make it like almost more than an hobby, right? Because
that was close to get a job for me. So I think it became like that when like basically when I started like playing competitively in Dragon Ball. In Fighters, there are like a lot of people that started like from like every single community. Like everyone was trying Dragon Ball Fighters when it released, and like I did some like strong results, right? I did like in the past before that I did kind of dream of like being competitive in Caliber and stuff like in 5, but as I said, I was just able to travel, like do it I'd say competitively, but like not as a job at all, like just like this, right? And then in Dragon Ball, like I had like good results at first, and a lot of people were playing it, not like in Caliber, where like it was like still a niche game, right?
Yes.
So yeah, I was able to do a lot of tournaments. I was getting some results. I then was sponsored there. Team Oplon sponsored me there, so I was able to travel to a lot more tournaments and stuff. And yeah, that's where like I kind of aim for like trying to get a living from like fighting games.
Feel free like to tell me if it's too personal or not, but weren't there like a time where you maybe were scared of ruining your hobby by playing too much competitive? Like, because I think that after you started going to tournaments, like there's also an expectation behind it, and like after getting sponsored, and so you're not playing like just for having fun, like because you're playing competitive. How did you take this change in the way you were playing fighting games? Like, is it a motivator, or maybe sometimes you feel a burnout? Like,
I would say that like I was kind of lucky because, as I said, when I was playing Caliber, like the old games, like the 4 or 5, I was extremely stressed, right? And because of that, I still was very competitive in my mind. So I forced myself into going for like more like offlines and stuff. And these helped me, get way less pressured during tournaments and stuff. So when Dragon Ball arrived, right, and I started playing it, I was way less pressured of like in general as a person. I was less pressured and I was able to maintain a certain balance, right? And yeah, like when the change appeared, like when like I had like more responsibility, I would say, in terms of like winning stuff, in terms of like performing well, right? It was not even as bad I was as when I was like playing Caliber in the old days, right? So it was still a bit of like more stress at it, but I was like, yeah, okay, I was doing, I was playing before with the same like, I still had the same mind. I still wanted to win. I just want to continue that way, right? And if I was sponsored, like the sponsor just wants the same thing as me, right? So since we share the same goal, which is me winning stuff, I shouldn't feel stressed about it because I'm gonna do my best anyway, right? So yeah, so I was kind of trying to think that way, and I think it's the right way of saying it. And also, we are not like, I'm not in a like sponsored by TSM or something. It's still, it's still Oplon. It's a good sponsor, but like there are no TSM.
The fighting game in general, like there are some good sponsors, of course, but
yeah, we are not League of Legends.
Yes,
gamers, right.
And I wanted to ask, like, there are there things like that you did after becoming a professional in fighting games that you didn't do before? Like, for example, and I'll give you an example just to help you understand. Like, before I became invested in fighting games, I never watched a replay of my games. But and I became to a point where like I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I was playing like mostly for fun. But when I wanted to improve, then some people told me like start watch some replays. They'll see with a fresh mind what you're doing, and you'll notice that you do something that you don't expect, like something like that.
Indeed. The main thing was like, so when I was like playing competitively, but like with no big pressure, I was kind of lazy a lot of times with like how I would prepare my events, how I would approach the players I was gonna face and stuff. And after that, like after getting sponsored, as I said, like being trying to get money by playing tournaments, I was preparing more my events, like watching VODs was one of these stuff that I was a bit lazy, and I did started doing it more. But also not that, it was more of like preparing the tournaments. Like for example, when I knew there were like 5 players or 7 players that I was very likely to fight, I would like prepare way more in advance and like watching their replays, their recent tournaments, stuff like that, what were their habits and stuff. And I think this is very important. If you want to be competitive, you have to prepare against like all the, at the very least, all the big competitors that you will have. It's not only at high level or anything, but like when even you are like even a beginner, if you do face people that are like at the same level as you, you can prepare. You can definitely prepare, and at every level you can do it. Obviously, me, because as I said, there was like not much involved. I was too lazy to do it, and now it's more about being like prepared. It's about also being on the right mindset. Like for example, in the invitationals that I got into, it was on Caliber 6. I watched the replay of like I think almost all the people that were in the event, and it helps a lot because it gives you like so many like insights of what's coming. And like in fighting games, if you know what's coming, you don't need to have like insane reaction.
Yeah.
Because you notice like patterns and stuff. You notice like what they do in let's say they have a limited pool of options after one move that hits or one move that is blocked. So after that, yeah, you see what I mean, right? Like it's just analyzing. It's but yeah, it was basically I knew about this, but I was too lazy. So it's just that.
So you got sponsored even before you started doing this, though, like while you were quote unquote lazy. You were already good enough. Okay.
Yeah, but as I said, I was a bit lucky because since the Dragon Ball player was very fresh, the player base, right? I had that lead about like, for example, risk reward that I said that I think people there was like more inclined to play more risky, right? And because they were playing risky, I had that edge of the game being more interaction than what it is now, I would say, because we were not doing like giga optimized combo, so more interactions. Now, like when I watch like even like very strong player that are still playing, like Noka, a friend of mine and stuff, and they hit once and opponents get gold bursted into death, and I'm like, yeah, I mean it's cool to know like what they are gonna do, but if you get hit once, it's over, man.
So Joe,
fighters is a different beast now. Let's just say that.
Yeah, like they are different beasts, but like as it was an early days Dragon Ball player, it helped so much. Like the risk reward stuff, and this like being like something that came from Caliber, kinda Caliber community that taught me that. It helped a lot for sure at the early stage of the game.
So one of the questions I wanted to ask you was like, how do you prepare for a tournament? But it seems like if you don't have anything to add, but I think you answered that. It's very interesting. So focusing on the players, at least the big names, and I get that. Well, also one other things I want to ask, like, since you, as we said before, you met many different scenes in fighting games, like. What are the players that you look up to the most?
So in Caliber, because also it's my favorite game and stuff, and I was watching a lot of games. I was looking up a lot at Kiev, a French player. I think. The Nightmare player, right? Like he was insane in all the games, even like he was winning a lot. Even in Soulcalibur 3, was like the bottom tier. So I was looking up a lot. Like I was also following his stuff and trying to take inspirations. And on other games, it's kind of a mix. Like for example, like Afi in Dragon Ball, in my opinion, was like insane. Wawa was also insane. Both of the French people. And there are like other people, but it's like it's. Since I never played them, like Tokido, for example, like I was also looking so many of his replays and stuff, but I was not playing the same games as him. And I think if I was at the time a Street Fighter player, probably Tokido would be one of the people I would have looked at the most. But yeah, I think it's basically these. Because after that era, right, like after the Dragon Ball stuff, in Soulcalibur 6, I didn't felt like I was behind a lot, like in these games, right? Because I think I caught up to the strongest competition, and even though like there were like obviously like better players out there, I knew what was going on, right? It was not like that I didn't understand what was happening. They were just like better in some aspects. So yeah, like it was mostly those, I think.
I see. Interesting. So I wanted to, if you want to ask something, otherwise I'll switch topics. If you have any question about his competitive career.
Yeah, I just was thinking about the time, but I can ask, like, you said you were only watching like Street Fighter 5, so then was Street Fighter 6 the first one that you tried of the series, at least like more than casually?
So no. I was watching Street Fighter 4, and I did play it a bit, but like very, very shortly, kind of. I had an Akuma. He was dying very fast.
That's usually the case with him.
I was looking at Tokido for that reason, right?
Oh, and, that's why.
Okay. Yeah, like Tokido and obviously all the others, like insane players. And I think at the time he was not as insane as I was in 5. In 5 was destroying everyone. What the fuck? It was insane. But like his playstyle and stuff, like they were too clean. I really liked watching his VODs and stuff.
Yeah, I don't think in 4 he was one of the best Japanese players in general. I think people used to joke about like his anti-airing not being great or something.
Yeah.
Or like picking the cheap stuff, but I mean, I started with 5, so I only hear about that stuff.
But the loops though.
The loops, if you get hit, you die fast too. It's not...
Akuma loops on Sagat. Juicy! And they were doing the DP during my whole string of like 30 hits. And I messed up once and I get DP and I die. I love it.
I started with Fighter, so when I hear about Street Fighter 4, like it sounds like a super legendary era that I missed, and I almost get sad. Then I look at the game and I think, it's fine.
I mean, in my opinion, at least, I mean, we were complaining already, like in like the focus attack and stuff. We were complaining a lot about this, but like it was, way better than what it is in Street Fighter 6 right now, in my opinion. At least in terms of like, randomness or like RPS weird option, right? It was, a bit better in my opinion. It was more in line with what we could find like at that time. But yeah, like I think the game was pretty good. Street Fighter 4. It just obviously it wasn't far from perfect, and I think it was. It could be less balanced than like what the fighting games are right now. Like even Street Fighter 6, I think it's quite balanced overall. But it's just like, it's just how a game plays out. I think I was liking it more in Street Fighter 4. And even like I heard that Street Fighter 5 was really good at the end of his lifespan, but I never really played Street Fighter 5.
I just saw the biggest sigh on Armin's face whenever you said that. I saw like, this shit again.
I was here. I mean, I about 4. I understand like people do the same thing that they do with 5. I understand Skill doesn't like 6, and that makes perfect sense. But people tend to forget, like, okay, the first years they were saying the same exact thing that they're saying now about 6. And of course, at the end, it's like it got better. But if a game is better, it's very good after 4 years. Like, thank you. Like, I mean, not everyone is try when it gets worse, So it's.
The games to be good and released though after like 4 years of the previous game that was like terrible and that ends well. You're like, oh, they finally understood what gamers wanted. And the next game they print Drive Impact, Drive Rush, Drive Parry, and Throw Loops is back.
I mean, at least there is no 8-frame delay on the input like it was.
Yeah, that's a wonderful thing though. Like this is like the technical side of stuff has improved a lot. Like,
what I wanted to add is like that we can all agree that it's really good that today we can actually choose which fight game we want to play, and there is not like. Do you want to play the game with rollback or the game that you like but it has the lane netcode and some playable?
Or the old days one. Well, okay. Do you want to play Street Fighter or like dead games basically? It's more like this, like because I played Caliber, and Caliber was like what we called like there was no Discord back in the day, so I can't call it a Discord game, right?
But it was a WhatsApp game.
Yeah, it's not even. We had websites, yeah, that is actually true.
The most insane arc in this era was all roads lead to this, but I think it was Fighters, because it was the game that everyone played, but it was also the Discord game, because if by chance you get matched with one player 1 kilometer away from your comfort zone, then it's over, because the record is on your ass.
You are cooked.
Like I remember it was even like because sometimes it happened that the Italians played with the French people, and also also Italy to Italy. It was like some people you play fine, other people no, you can play against them like for the weirdest reasons, and it was not even consistent. It was like so random, because of course maybe you're playing from northern Italy or from South France and Excel. So so it was like the most popular game, and you needed to actually write to people to play games and hope you all went fine. It was so sad. Like I'm glad I joined at almost the end of this era. Then it came Strive, and it opened the doors to modern Japanese games. Like, hey, you can actually do a game that plays well on the internet. Okay.
There is something funny about this. It's like, if we think about it, like, so in my view, like COVID-19 was at the same time what killed my Pro Tour, my Caliber Pro Tour. So like it broke my heart at the time, but also it forced the devs to actually plan for rollback everywhere.
Yeah. It also killed Granblue, like the vanilla one, of course.
Yeah.
Because it released just before the COVID, and what? It didn't have a good netcode.
Yep. Yeah, it was pretty bad netcode. So I also stopped quite early. I think I played like not even a year into the game, and I stopped because it was too hard to actually find games. If you were able even to find people from Europe, you had to pray that they were like close enough for you to be able to actually play the games, or else you would just get thrown to death. You take random throw and you get 60% by an overhead.
I remember like when we were doing offlines for Fighters, like at some point, I don't know exactly who, maybe Armis told me about, like, there is a Granblue, like a new anime game. Like, it was more like Street Fighter. You can try it. Then I saw it. Like, it has the same netcode as Fighters. Yeah. So I said, if I have to die from a poison, I'd like to die from a poison I know. It's like there is the saying in Italy. Like, why should I invest time in a new game which has the same problems? At least I'm playing Dragon Ball in some way. It's fine.
Yeah, it was me who told you. I remember.
Yeah, like I like the game because I really disheartened from Soulcalibur 6, which I had to leave because it wasn't playable in Italy. Like I really liked the medieval fighting game style. It's something I really like. So when I saw Granblue, it's it's something I really like. But then all the problem came out, and I don't have the heart to suffer the same again. I'll just stick to Dragon Ball, and that it.
Finally, we can play rollback.
Yeah. So exactly. When they announced Granblue Rising, it was like maybe it's the time, and it actually became the game I stick with. So I use the opportunity to ask if how are you doing in Granblue Rising, if you're still enjoying it, or you have eyes on other games.
I am, even though there are still like things that I would like to see like nerfed, like the dash attack, like brave counters, like basically general mechanics that they keep making overpowered for balance purpose. I believe, like this is my personal belief, but I do think that like the devs tend to implement strong mechanics in late fighting games just because it's easier to balance the game itself. because the moves of every single one of your characters are the same, right? It's less of a problem if a character does too much of something. But honestly, like even though these problems happens in this game, I do like it a lot because I can actually play an anime style game with with like a couple of interaction most of the time, and without having to be 10-year-old reaction to prepare for the drive impact that my opponent is gonna throw me. So it's more chill, I would say, to play it. Even though it's not my favorite fighting game, I think it's still a fine one, and I do have hope for the future. So we will see like how if they want to actually improve the game, and if they do, how. So we will see that. I hope in season 2 we'll see that.
Sadly, I'm a bit scarred from past experience. So when because you have to remember, I played Fighters as a first game, then I played Strive, and which I took very competitively. So you have to imagine my reaction. Armix knows it. When I saw the trailer for the new patch for Granblue, for the first big patch, and I saw that they gave everyone like all the things they put in the trailer were more conversion from mid-screen. I was like, not this shit again. It can't happen again. So I'm a bit worried about the future. I'm really liking Granblue, but I'm very scared about new patches and what they add. I hope they don't follow the same path. They just leave it at that.
They gave more conversion to more characters, right? But they did also nerfed the current ones, which is I think not that bad of a decision. Which is like radius strike scaling they nerfed. They also nerfed U skill, like starters and also in combos. So I think those were like a fine decision. It's just like, as I said, I think general mechanics are like way too prevalent. You see too many like brave counters. You see too many like dash attacks in too many scenarios. I think, like as I said, dash attacks should be like a way of getting in neutral. It shouldn't be like you're with punish. I take my turn after 0-0 because you are far and my dash attack is better than yours. It shouldn't be like conversion tool. Or maybe like a conversion tool would be fine, but like
maybe a niche one though.
Yeah, niche conversions is fine with dash attacks, or maybe even the H version of dash attack or something like that, right? It would be fine like this, but the problem is that light dash attacks right now they cover too many stuff, and the only way of preventing it to be like complete one-sided battle of like one player like rolling over the other one that is getting minus frames into minus frames into minus frames is to implement a broken defensive mechanic, which is in the game, and we know about it. It's a brave counter, and both of these of like almost it's there are more counterplays to dash attacks, but like the brave counter costs something. That's basically the trade-off. I don't think the trade-off those trade-offs are not fine. They are not enough. You still see too many of them in in a match. But we will see how they do it. I'm just as you said. I'm just skeptical about the fact that like the dash attack went live after beta. That like had if you played the beta, you remember maybe that like Raging Strike was like 16 or 18 frames, some bullshit like that, and it was basically a mix-up, a completely invisible mix-up, and the frame had like 40 something tech frame window, which was like basically no throw in the game, and those were like basically these were the vision. At the time right? And because the vision was like that, I'm skeptical of like good decision now, kinda.
I think they are also playing like even today they are playing they're trying to catch up with a new division that they had to change because they changed so many fundamental things about the game. I didn't play the first beta, but I know about what you were talking about. Like for example, also the ultimate moves, like they are also they're a big like big combo extender now. Many combos are based on ultimate moves, and when I remember that in the first beta they were like only doable in neutral, I was thinking, how did we come up with this? Like, how did this happen?
Yeah.
What were they thinking? So
It's basically because in my opinion at least, it's just like in the beta, they thought we would use our meta to use, Raging Strike as a mix and as a tool to counter, because basically you had to spend even more meta to counter a Raging Strike that was breaking your board.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the meta was supposed to be spent there in the first beta of the game. The problem was that obviously it was one-sided as hell because nothing was possible to react to, and then you finish with no meta and no HP very fast if you don't aggress your opponent.
There is no problem.
Yeah, so now they had to put some stuff that would make you use your meta, right? So they make characters to have combo with the use skill, which kind of makes sense. It's like using an EX move that actually leads to combo in fighting games. So I don't mind it. It was just way too strong, and it still is for some characters. I'm looking at you, Catalina, with your fireball, and Belial too.
Ryan, you called the demon in Discord. Everything they did new to Catalina, I think that is what is wrong in fighting games right now. I really don't get what they did to Catalina in the last patch, but that's why I'm worried.
At least they made her more unique.
That's for sure. Yeah, I'm glad there is nothing
guys,
like.
I'm just happy for Belial players because finally he's strong and
yeah.
at best. But,
finally playable in a Granblue game.
They did some, as you said before, Skyll, they did some very well targeted. When then we start talking about Granblue, don't worry. I know we are annoying you.
I'm good.
They did some really targeted change that were so good for the game, in my opinion. Like, for example, the scaling in the ultimate skill in neutral. Because it's fine if you play Sorry, so you know about it. If you do one ultimate skill in neutral to catch something and it goes well, you do a combo and blah blah blah. If they nerf the scaling on that is good for the game, because otherwise always some it's the Far West. Because you are in neutral and who press the skill first wins. Also, they target the scaling on the Dash L starters. So I think they have. I can have faith in future patches, but then there's other stuff that are questionable. They buffed the Belial, for example, which is
future will tell. But I do have some hope because usually they take into consideration a lot of basically the Japanese meta, right? They look at it a lot, I think. Usually, for example, the characters that are right now too strong, they are too strong everywhere. It's not just in Europe or just in the US. Right now, most tier lists are kind of showing the same things, and because of that, I do think that if they do listen to at least to the Japanese player base, the game has good chances of to actually improve. It's just that I'm scared that maybe they are not concerned about the general mechanics, which is a problem for me because, as I said, too many of the strong general mechanics makes the game, in my opinion, more boring, and it also
Absolutely agree.
Even though the game, for example, Dragon Ball was balanced by strong mechanics.
Yes.
It makes it so if any characters have one tool that's slightly better than another one, right? Everyone is gonna play it because do the same. You have general mechanics for the rest of the character. So why not play the one with I would say 3% better tool, right?
Yeah, so we often say that one of my general complaints is that when the power level of the game is too high, then it's way harder to balance around it, and they do it in different ways. I get it's more fun when your character can do more stuff, but I think that the beauty in a character or in a game is let's take a character. What I like the most about a character often are its weaknesses instead of its strengths, which I know it sounds a bit weird, but I think that in modern fighting games, like, they often forget about it. Like, it's okay to have trade-offs on something sometimes.
Yeah. So you're basically saying that, like, a character that, like, show his strength but also show his weakness, make it more unique, and I do agree with that for sure. It's just like, as I said, in my opinion, both the strength and the weakness should not be too much in one side. Like, not even like on both sides. If it's too much on both sides, it's also bad, because it makes it so the characters have, like, really, spiky matchup shot, right?
Yeah.
You can see that in grapplers. Like, a lot of the grapplers have, like, a very hard matchup, but also very winning matchups, which I don't think it's very good for a game. But again, I don't think, like, making all the characters getting the same tools is the right way of solving it. I think, like, playing around, like, tools, maybe making some tools better to cover some matchups weaknesses, maybe making some tools weaker to make it so it's not as effective against another type of character, is the right way of doing it, and makes more character more interesting to play without making it too frustrating when you are facing that one character that has like a counterplay of your playstyle, which is like it can be like grappler, it can be being a zoner, etc. So I hope they do it that way, and I think they did some fine decision. It's just like we will see, like, if they see it the same way, or if they like since they do have their own view about what they want to design about the game. I just play around still, and I will probably still enjoy. It's just like I like the game. It's just not the best game ever. It's just
there are like very few changes that would make the game so much better. But it's almost like you're almost there. You can do it.
Can do it. I'm looking at them, the devs, and also looking at Tonal Fun release.
In a month we'll probably know. I'm really scared about Thunderful. It's so like they don't do an Epic House and release every broken DLC.
No, don't worry, there was Vikala before. Now we can have a broken DLC.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad that Vikala is not the new Epic House, because I would have left the game. Like no. I can't go on playing every game with this rat playing the trumpet. No. Get me out of here. Get me out.
Louis.
Wait, you don't want to take a photo with you? What?
Me and Poppy were streaming while like Evoto played, and they showed the trailer.
Like, we watched live
the silence, and it was just me laughing and Poppy getting up and walking away.
Because like right before they let us show the trailer for the new patches, like, and right there it was like, why is everyone converting from mid-screen? Then they go out with the Vikala trailer. No.
The vision was lost right there.
Because also there was the theory that they also did like one male, one female, one male, one female. So we had the last Versusia. We probably had Sadarphone as the last one. And then this fucking rat.
Versus has muscles though. She's definitely a male. What?
I don't know. So we actually did an hour. I'm asking you if you have time for one more question, or if you're.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I wanted to ask because we are going a bit over time. Like when I talk about Granblue, it's always like that.
I'm also talking a lot, so sorry about that.
Okay. I wanted to ask something about, because like 1 hour, 2 hours ago, almost, we talk with a big member of the community in the Italian fighting games, like Aldo from Server Games. So I wanted to like ask you about how do you feel about the French community, which I'm very curious about to know from like an insider, because from the outside, like it's clearly one of, with the UK, I think it's not wrong to say that it's one of the most developed fighting game communities. And like I wanted to ask if there are many locals, if fighting it from different games talk with each other, or if they are more separated. So want to know what it's like if related to at all.
So yeah, I did kind of grew up with one of particular community, which is the Soulcalibur community, French community. So I don't know obviously about like maybe a Street Fighter like in detail. I do know a bit of them like currently, right? I don't know how they evolved into this, but basically it's just like I think towns in France have like kind of some preference on fighting games. Except for Paris that have like basically everything, well, I would say.
Makes
like
sense.
Paris is like the biggest town stuff, capital, blah blah, and they have every single fighting games, and they are playing probably every single fighting games, and there are the most people there. But I'm not from Paris. I'm from South France. And as I said earlier, I was back in the days I was the online warrior of Caliber with lag, but now I'm the online warrior without lag. So,
Damn,
you're not an online warrior. Come on, you travel a lot.
I do travel a lot, like less for like obviously like sessions and stuff, like casuals and stuff. I did also organize some stuff at home. I had like some good players coming over at home, like Noka, the Dragon Ball,
and you didn't invite me. I'm a friend.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was worth the travel from Italy though. I don't think I could offer enough. But yeah, so yeah, basically that. To be honest, yeah, like I think, in my view at least, like the community in France is one of the biggest ones for sure, and also like the people, like the players, are overall very strong in most fighting games. Also, I think we can see that in Street Fighter, where like, they separate regions for Pro Tour, right? And I believe that France is like, when there are tournaments that only have a couple of countries, the zone they do, right? The little zone they do. And France is like only with like Monaco, which is basically in France, right?
Which is
so, yeah. So, yeah, we have a lot of competition. In the community, and I do think that like if you look at like the towns, as I said before, you have like smaller communities of games that are more or less known. Like for example, I know that in Marseille there are a lot of Tekken players. For example, as I said, I don't play Tekken, so it's not too much of my cup of tea. I'm not too far from there actually. But yeah, like the communities, they improved a lot over time. Like when I was playing, for example, in Caliber, community was mostly like Paris, right? And the sessions were like in Paris, and even when they were like tournaments, they were holding like session, like previous, for example, the previous day and stuff like that. We were like maybe like they were renting places to actually like do big sessions and stuff like that. And I do think that like it helped a lot. It was also an era where like team battles were a thing actually, because nowadays you can see big team battles like in Street Fighter League and stuff like that, which is like sponsor based, right?
Yeah.
But before there was no sponsor and stuff like that. Also like a lot of games were like way smaller, so there was no money involved, no sponsor involved. So people were like creating their own teams that you can also find that. I think in Guilty Gear, for example, you can see like some teams like in France, Vesta, like NSXC, NSXC, like Platy is also one. Like there are a lot of teams still, but like that era, like the era where like I was playing Caliber, there were like way more teams, and there were like more, there was ladders and stuff like that, and the teams were competing between each other, and it was only in France. And it was interesting to see because no, I don't mean only in France, because I do think there were like in other countries, but like the ladders, for example, we were competing with each other, not with other countries. That's what I meant. And yeah, because of that, I think the French community kind of improved faster, as a community, because if you do play with a strong player on a regular basis in only one country that have more people in it, right? You kind of improved a bit faster without, improving the other communities at the same time. You just improve yours, right? And I think it was a good thing, but I do think also it's a bad thing, because nowadays it's more you can see Europe like more as a community, right? For example, if you look at like the Discord and stuff, there are more like interaction stuff with like European Discords than like with just your own Discord, like French Discord or like Italian Discord or like Spanish Discord, like so it's more international nowadays. And I think it's good because it's really nice to actually like play with more people and develop oneself into other communities too. I think it's really good because like some other, let's say some other community plays slightly differently, and you have to adjust your playstyle so you improve as a player. But yeah, to come back to the French community, right now at least, it's like split between the whole France, like in terms of like small communities, like so let's say Tekken, Marseille, let's say Paris has like kind of everything. It's like Lyon has like other community, and like community is very strong overall. And for all those reasons I said, it's just like nowadays, as I said, it matters less, since the community, at least most of them, the ones I went into, they do play a lot with like other communities that are in Europe, and I think it will improve over time. I think it went naturally that way just because of rollback. Actually, it's just like because we have the option. Before we didn't really have the option, so it was like an advantage for France as a country, because we had, as I said, more players than most.
Yes,
it was the same also for UK, right? Because more players again, and since they were locked into playing each other, they improved on their own.
Also, I think also the infrastructure, like for example, for us in Italy, sometimes it was bad to like even play from North Italy to Southern Italy. Like there could be problems. Of course, there is Sicily, which is an island, so it has its problems as well when the netcode is not good.
Yeah.
And lastly, I wanted to ask, like, for always about the French community, but online, like, if you have, like, for example, as in Italy, we have like the Spaghetti Discord, which is like the anime fighter Discord. We have a dedicated Street Fighter Discord, and there are Tekken and Smash ones. Do you have something like that, like little online apps, which I imagine will be Discord, that can gather as much people as possible under one server, or it's more local, like you said, from city to city?
It's not city to city, but like we have kind of the same as what every other country has in Europe, in my opinion, which is basically we go into the European Discord, but we also go to the French Discord of like X game we are playing.
Okay,
for example, like
game. Makes sense.
For Guilty Gear, it's like Espada, right? Because they have the most people and they are like the most active, right? And for Granblue, we have Granblue France. We have also a lot of members there. For example, I usually don't go too much there. Like as I said, I'm more of a European guy, so I just post like or ask games or like reply to matchmaking stuff in the European Discord. But it's basically a given that like France has like a Discord per game that is for friends, like kinda. for France. Obviously, everyone can go there, but most likely people will speak French.
Yeah, it makes more sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's the same for every single country.
Of
It's just
course,
like as I said, those discords, they take way less space than before in the community, just because, European. We can play with European, so why not just ask to broader community to try to get some games and play, which it's really good because now the Discord's games are actually like quite alive actually.
Yes. I remember like the other day was pinging a server, an European server for Granblue, and it answered the one from the Spaghetti Discord from Italy. It was like, oh, you're dead.
Yeah.
Okay, let's play.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the best way of doing it. Honestly, it's also, as I said, now that like the how to say it, it's like the rivalry of the community is more between like Europe and US and like Asia, for example. Now that like it's more of this scale, I think it's better to have the best experience as possible with like the most. The best of the your side of the planet, I would say, like Europe for us, like the US also. I think I guess maybe US has like some trouble of playing from East Coast to West Coast sometimes. Maybe I heard that even with rollback, which is kind of a shame, right?
Yeah, but, I never really liked rivalries because they come from also other sport like soccer. You're playing against a French, beat him up. I'm playing against someone. Why should it be something different? Like I want to play.
That's funny, I think.
Yeah, as long as it's funny, you can do it. But sometimes it gets a bit too toxic. I don't know.
I definitely agree that sometimes it goes too far, especially since some people are really nice in every single community. So why will you actually stuck your own exact community when there is also a friend that they are fighting, right? But also it's kind of like funny because it's kind of like football and stuff where like everyone can be friend, even though you are happy when like your team wins against the other team, right? Because your team is your country's team. It's not actually your team, right? You didn't pay these people.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's funny, I think.
For example, someone will say like, I can't believe a French won the tournament. It would like be, they're probably the best in Europe. Who would would win the tournament? Of course, a French won. Like speaking of fighters, like other stuff like that. I don't know.
It's I mean I agree with Skyll. It's kind of funny most of the times. You just like even you, Poppy, we played like North versus South and other stuff, and I understand why like it does get toxic. Like even with other countries, like we did it out in Stripe, and some people can't contain themselves. But most of the times, I think it's in good fun, and it gives you a reason, right, to compete for something or to have a storyline, like not just play like randomly.
I don't know. I feel like sometimes they take it as an excuse to give like the worst of themselves. But maybe you're right. It's just only a few cases, and
it's just a few people who get
usually. Usually these people would be toxic no matter what.
Yeah,
it's just another excuse to be toxic, right? But like it is funny usually. Like if you respect the people, for example me. Even though as I said, I'm more of a European guy than a French guy. If a good friend of mine that is French is also competing against a good friend of mine that is, I don't know, UK for example, or Italian for example, I would usually be with the French guy because he is French, right? That's the only reason.
That makes
but
sense.
I would also be like, I wouldn't be toxic or anything.
Yeah.
So it's just like, some people are just like toxic, just like that, right?
Like it's funny if you use it as an excuse to cheer up the one you are you're cheering on, but it's bad when you use it as an excuse to insult the other side. It's I don't know.
No, I definitely understand what you mean. It's just like I think the people that do that, they would do that no matter what.
Yeah, no matter what.
Yeah. So yeah, for me it's also an excuse to change side as the face of the match. For example, like I don't know, like I think it was like Jetstream against it was probably a Jetstream against Patachu match. That was like you know, I was watching the match. I was like, okay, I said to Jetstream basically like, okay, I love you, Jet, but he's my boy Patachu, right?
Yeah.
And at some point, he does like 2 DPs in a row. It's like, let's go, Jetstream! Don't fucking see DP, bro! Why? So it's funny that way, right? I guess you can change side in match, no problem.
Oh man. Every time Patachu does a DP, it's like, oh, this skill will stop rooting for me. Just does it.
We have like a memory about this, Armin, with Duke.
Oh my god.
At mix
At the mix-up, yeah. When, like, a little disclaimer, I really hate Potenkin, as you can probably guess by my Axel peak back in the day. So when every time like Duke did the hammer fall into PRC grab, everyone was like cheer, and I was like,
yeah, sitting behind everyone.
it was like Armin shouting out of his body. Like Armin was also agitated, and then he turned right, and it was like that.
It's just pure Potemkin hate.
I mean, in his defense, there were a lot of good Potemkins in Italy. So Foppi would have every tournament, he would have to like fight 3. It was like, it was embarrassing.
I had burnout from Potemkin. It was crazy.
You don't have to be, you know, fighting Potemkins to hate Potemkin. I remember that time, I look at the bracket, I saw that I had like Duke like 2 times if he did lose, so I was like, okay, so I hate this character, I need to check in-game and ask games to people. I was like, yeah, let's play another game instead.
No, we are talking about this, and one from the Spaghetti Discord, Donna, which is one of the best Potenkin players in Italy right now. It's like, I come up and we hate on Potenkin. Okay. Sorry, Donna.
Sorry, Donna. I don't hate him. I like Duke.
Oh,
I don't.
No. I really like Duke. It's not the problem. It's his character.
No,
Duke did nothing wrong. Potemkin did.
I mean, he did a few things wrong, but let's not go all the way. He locked us out of our house at that
guys,
time.
we are so out of schedule. Drugo is probably gonna kill me, but I think
good for him.
We
I said good for him.
Good for him, yeah. It's fine, okay. But I don't want to take further time from Skill, so we are a bit overboard and don't want to press the event. So instead, unless Armix has something to say, I'll call it a day.
No, I just want to thank everyone for who's listening and say bye. Take care. Also, thanks Skill, of course.
I hope you liked the interview, Skill foremost, and I hope it went fine. My English is not like pristine.
Oh, my English is also far from perfect. Don't worry.
Okay.
It's very fine. No problem.
Mine is perfect.
No,
his is perfect, but he is the perfect man, so no problem. Nothing to notice.
Okay.
So thank you for having me, guys. It was really nice.
It was a pleasure. Thank you, Skill. Have a good evening, and I hope you for the best in future tournaments, especially Granblue ones.
Thank you.
I want to see your stories. That I saw it in tournaments, and it's always a pleasure. And bye bye.
Yeah, see you guys.
See ya.
Have a good evening too.
Bye.
See you.
Bye bye.
Oof. Cioè, sempre io dal void che vi parlo. Inizio un po' a scoppiarmi il cervello. Quindi 10 minuti. Mi ripiglio un attimo, mi rinfresco un attimo la faccia. Drugo, sai cosa fare, sai dove trovarmi. Non è vero perché mi sono appena tolto, quindi mi rimetto. E ci proviamo con l'ultimo segmento guidato di questa sera, che è quello di Soulcalibur 6. Non avremo mai più Geralt in un picchiaduro.